Hey everyone, I'm Callie and welcome to You So Can. Today we're going to make something that requires your machine. It requires some hand stuff, some stuffing stuff in there. It's a pillow, you perverts. Now you can make one obviously bigger than this. This is just one I made just for time's sake, just to make it tiny. You know, if you need a pincushion, this can be a pincushion. But what you want to do is cut some fabric out about 1 inch, either direction, larger than what the size that you want. Use a woven fabric. Quilting cotton is good. Just something, woven. Do not use a knit fabric. We're not messing with that shit yet. So any quilting cotton, hit up the remnants table over at your local fabric shop. Cut up some old sheets, some old jeans, whatever. Okay, so you'll need fabric. Obviously, you'll need your pins. You'll need your scissors. And also to make sure, if you haven't done it already, make sure you change, you have the correct machine needle for depending on what fabric you use. If you're using some quilting cotton, an 80 will be fine. If all you can find is a 90, that ain't gonna hurt it. If you're using denim, use a denim needle. So just make sure you use the corresponding needle. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Okay, and then another thing you probably need, well, you're gonna need a hand needle. Okay, for your hand stuff. And then you will also need some fiber fill. This is just some poly fiber fill available at any craft store. I think you can even get it at Walmart. But also a point turner, and if you don't have a point turner, a pencil will do, just as long as it's not like really freaking sharp, because you don't want stuff going through your corners and messing your shit up. Okay, so here we go. Hey everybody. Okay, so we got our fabric right sides together, but if you like the right side, if you like the wrong side better than the right side, go ahead and use that. It's all good. So we're just going to go ahead and pin this together just around the edge. I like to use like a green from a start, and then I'll use a red pin the other side of that for the stop. Just a nice visual reminder. The only problem with that method is if you use a lot of red pins or green pins, that might mess you up, but it's all good. I'm just going to use 2 on each side. If you're making a larger project like a big pillow, you might want to use more on each side unless you feel comfortable with just 2. But the main thing is you want to, the reason why I like to use the stop and start is, make sure you leave enough space to be able to turn this bad boy out. So you have the front sides facing out. But we got her pinned up. Now let's take it to the sewing machine. We're at our sewing machine, ready to get started. Just going to use a 2.5 stitch length, and away we go. So we got our foot down. We're starting at our green pin. Just going to go ahead and take that out, and then here we go. And we're using our 1/2 inch seam allowance. And we just get to those corners. And let me see, oop, just gotta do like maybe 1 more stitch. All right. I'm just gonna go ahead and stitch up the rest of this and show you how to trim them corners. Okay, everybody, so we got our little square all sewed up. And what we need to do to make sure those corners show up nice and sharp is that we need to trim them. Now what we need, make sure you do, is we're going to trim. It's kind of hard with that shadow of the light. Let me see if I can bring that down. What you need to do is trim it as close as you can to the stitching without cutting through it. Okay, sometimes it needs a deep breath. You need to hold your breath or believe in yourself, because yeah, it can be scary. But you just want to trim all four corners. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish the seams just to add a little extra layer of reinforcement. But if you can see that that is, you know, really close to those corners. Okay, so let me go back and reinforce these seams with a zigzag stitch. Just going to go ahead and finish that off. So I'll show you right directly. All right, so we're going to go ahead and finish these seams off. Now, obviously, you don't want to finish over the part where you've got laid open, you know, left open for turning it out. So probably what I'll just do is finish it on the other three sides besides this one. It just helps just in case, you know, the seam busts open or something. Like it shouldn't, but it might, you know. So here we go. There we go. So we got the seam all finished. I went ahead and trimmed close to that seam finish just to reduce the bulk. And then I also kind of just trimmed close in here, but then left some on the outside of where that seam finished. So now we're going to turn this bitch inside out, or right side out. So really all you just do is open up old flaps here and then just kind of shove it through the hole. I wonder if I should do a double entendre counter on these videos. Good Lord. So we're just gonna flip this inside out. You know, you can get your fingers in there, work it a little better. And if you have a point turner, you can use that to help get your corner sharp. This is a point turner. If you don't have one, you can use a pencil. Don't use a super sharp pencil because then you'll poke holes in the corner. Or you can, if you've got like a knitting needle or a chopstick or crochet needle, I'm just going to use my point turner and just kind of get that corner just a little sharper. We're not looking for sharp right angles, but you know, at least just a little better than just if we just used our fingers. Okay. And then next, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our trusty friend fiber fill here. And what you just want to do is grab a little, little bit. If you working on a bigger project, sorry, I keep hitting the camera. If you're working on a bigger project, then you can grab bigger chunks. But what you can just do is take your pencil. It helps if I do this on camera. Take your pencil or your point turner. Get that stuff in the corners first. And then just kind of work it into the corners first. And then you can fill in the rest. Okay, so we're just going to get that in there. I think I made my hole too small because my fingers, don't make the hole too smaller than what your hand or your fingers can get in there. Because that's what I did here, and I'm having a little difficulty. But we're just going to work that in there, shove it in. Now that I've got these two corners, shoved in, what I can just do is work it in around here. And then I'll just go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead and stuff this full. And then we're going to get to the hand stuff. Not like this isn't already hand stuff, but we're going to do a little bit of hand sewing. All right. So you can make this as full, as stuffed as you want. If you don't want a whole lot of stuffing in there, that's fine. If you're making a pillow, like a bigger pillow, then, make it as fluffy as you want. Obviously, the firmer you need it, the more stuffing it's going to take. So, all right, so here we go. I'm going to stuff this, and then we'll be back to the hand stuff. All right, so we got our pillow stuffed, and we're ready to seal this bitch up. So you get our hand needle, get some thread, depending on your size of your hole. This depends on how much thread you'll need. So your thread shouldn't be too long, otherwise it gets to be a little bit too much. But you want to make sure you put a knot in the end. And here's how I like to do it. Just wrap that thread around your finger and kind of pull through. And then there's your knot. It's going to trim off that end. And then we're going to do what's called a whip stitch. But a good way to hide the old knot so we don't have that sticking out is we're just going to start the thread from the inside, and then that way the thread, that knot is there on the inside of the old fabric. So you want to try and hold this together as best you can. If you gotta pin it, go for it and pin it. But what we're just going to do is just take tiny amount make sure you don't get the corner. So we're just going to take a little tiny amount just to get that closed. And this is causing me problems, so go ahead and show you, but I'll speed it up just because I know this is going to be boring and I just really don't know how I'm going to talk over this for a whole lot. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to whip it good. Okay, so we've come to the end of our hole, like did a couple stitches past. So how we just secure that off is we're going to make another little loop like we would as if we were doing a normal stitch. Okay. And then you pull through that loop. Oops, okay. I came undone, but you pull through that loop and pull through it again. And then just secure it down, and then that knots it off. I like to just kind of bring the needle back through and then just just pull it out and then trim it off. So now we got our whip stitch edge. Now, since we use black thread, it is going to be visible on the pink side, you know. But you know what? We're learning. That's okay. If I use the black on the back, this wouldn't be as obvious. But you know what? It's okay. And if anybody says shit to you about it, fuck them. All right. Got our little pillow. Woohoo! Guess what? You made a fucking pillow. That's awesome. Okay. So if yours is bigger than this, freaking great. If you made a tiny one, still freaking great. You made a thing. You got an actual tangible thing to make. It's freaking great. Okay, so the best things about making your own pillows is you can make, you know, whatever you want. You see a cool fabric and says, ooh, that would make a good pillow. You got your pillow. Even better is you learn some skills. We worked on trimming corners. We worked on turning things inside and out. We finished some seams. We even did some hand stuff along the edge. So good job, everybody. Share with me your makes at hashtag #YouSoCan on Instagram, or you can tag me at you.so.can on Instagram as well. You guys are doing awesome. Y'all are doing awesome. So proud of you. Good job. Keep at it. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, but more importantly, be excellent to each other.